Hey, so let me know when you're ready, man.
Oh, I'm good to go whenever, brother.
All right, sounds good. Let's get things started, man. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Lone Wolf Podcast. And I'm your host, Wolfson, and today we got a special guest in the building coming in from the big long state of Texas, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And now is over here in South Florida, conquering the scene little by little. Please say hello to Tex from Karbanation. What's go?
Day, brother. Another day. Glad to talk to you again, dude.
Oh, so happy to talk to you, man. It's been, especially since it's been quite some time since we had a conversation, since the first time we met, man.
Facts, dude. Facts. That was wild, dude. I didn't even expect to stay down there talking to you that long in general.
Hey, I wasn't even expected to stay that long. I was actually going to be there for a bit, stay for a chill, network if I can, see his set, and then I'm bounced, I didn't expect to stay that long,
Right. We turned that downstairs into some sort of like little philosophical journey.
Hey, man, great minds think alike, man.
Facts, dude. Facts.
Yeah.
We just kept going.
Absolutely, man. And I feel like this is going to be another one of those conversations that we're going to have here in the podcast, man.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. Looking forward to that.
Absolutely. So first things first, man, before we get started, man, how are you, man? How are you doing?
Dude, great, dude. Just got done moving this week and just got a new roommate.
Okay.
Totally good. And I just been getting adjusted, getting all new stuff in the house this week.
All right. So how are you liking so far here in South Florida, man?
Brother, dude, I went from the middle of Texas down to a little bit further warmth. And so this little last week of coolness kind of shook me. But now that it's warming back up, dude, I'm loving it. Back to the way it should be.
Really? You don't like the cold stuff? The cold front?
Absolutely not, dude. Absolutely no, not at all. This hair kept me a little bit warm, but no, hot all day.
But I find you get cold over there in Tex.
Yeah, it gets icy, dude. That's why I moved further south. And then when things get to the 60s, I'm like, what are you doing? This isn't why I moved here.
I mean, it's funny you say because like I'm kind of the opposite. Like I welcome cold because I lived my whole life in an island and then moved to Miami. Is like there's not that much difference, Only here in Miami, you can feel the seasons. That's what I like. It's like, yeah, I can feel something, Back home in Puerto Rico it's either fall or summer or year long.
Yeah, facts.
Like there's no difference in there. So it's like I'm always hot. There's no way I can have an excuse to say, oh, today I'm wearing my cool sweater.
Listen, that's the first time I've heard somebody say that Miami has seasons. So listen, I think we're making some progress.
I mean, what sort of progress are we making? Are we making like, ozone layer progress, or are we making,
We're cutting through it deeply.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I like the seasons, but the fact that we're having cold fronts here down south it's a little bit intimidating at times. I don't think about it. I really do. I just welcome it. But if you look at the grand scheme of things, you'll be like, this doesn't tell you that we have global warming. Nothing will.
Yeah. I mean, the massive flooding in Brickell where we work and live and stuff is also clear and evident symbols or signs of that.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard stories about Miami that, like if Miami keeps going the way it's going by continue to build more buildings and stuff around the coastal areas, like it's from here to 10 to 15 to 20 years, it's a possibility that will just drown.
Yeah. I mean, I see it. I see it when it floods at work. It's literally like you're watching water come out of the drain that you're supposed to want to go down, and you're like, oh God, what do we even do now? And then you have to come up with all the towels. It's wild, dude. It is wild what I've seen in restaurants and bars in this city, dude. Walking through water like this just to like sweep it towards another. You're only walking in water like that.
I wish I could say that I'm surprised, but I'm really ain't. I am surprised, maybe here in Miami, but I'm not surprised at all because I've experienced some of that in the island. Like when you get into hurricane season, like you'll experience some of that flooding, There's like a huge section. I remember around my block that there's a little area where there's like a gas station, and then there's like a bunch of other, little bars here and there next to each other. and then underneath, next to the gas station, there's a river. Would you imagine? The river is like, I'm telling you, if I have to visually remember it, the level of the river with the street, it's like at least 12 feet. Like it's like this. When it becomes on a heavy rainy day,
that's wild. 12 feet. That's wild.
12 feet above the normal, because that's 12 feet of difference. So they make it so the rain makes up the 12 feet and then sun. So it's like at least a good 14 feet of water versus that, you know?
Jeez. I could no, hell no.
Bro, you literally see all the cars going underneath the water and then popping out. They're not supposed to do that, but you know, people are just wild and says like, fuck it. It's gonna be fine. It's not nothing's gonna happen. And then you're stuck underneath water. You're like, bloop, bloop. Okay.
Oh no. Yeah, you can't do that with a Lamborghini out here. It was actually some try.
Oh no. In Puerto Rico, you cannot have any nice cars. Any luxury cars, you can't have it because Puerto Rico is like the capital world of plot holes.
Oh shit.
Yeah, no. And fixing those plot holes is a bitch because they always overflow it. And when they overflow it, it breaks down again. So now they gotta fix it again. No. It's horrible. The infrastructure in Puerto Rico is shit.
We're not that far along in the U.S. for that too. The way they're moving with all this nowadays.
I mean,
the infrastructure bill is looking horrible.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen that many plot holes in South Florida. Probably in the back roads of all these rural areas. But
you never seen one of the sinkholes? One of the famous Florida sinkholes?
Yeah, I haven't got near them because of that reason.
Yeah, they're notorious out here. I found out.
Just
where the mud all of a sudden just gone.
Jesus. And I've only seen videos of it. I have never experienced one, or I've never heard one nearby me, at least in my experience. But it's like I've seen it and it's just like, what the fuck is this? Where is this going?
Yeah. Well, that's what we get for building land on porous soil. That's another good thing about Miami is we're built on pores.
I never understood that. Like it's like I get that we want to be next to the beach, but shit, bro.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Disney did it first, right? In Orlando made Disney out of a swamp.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude, Disney's raised up. I think something. It's another interesting anomaly of where a park should be built. It's raised out of a swamp.
Well, that kind of explains why there's so many lakes around that area, Disney area.
Yeah, it's wild, dude.
That's very interesting. Well, I always wonder how they managed to build their subterranean levels.
Yeah, I think I was just stoned one day and I was just in a YouTube rabbit hole thing watching, and I watched something about that. It's just how they had to raise it and they were able to go ahead and go underneath it. But yeah, it was all because of the land it's built on.
So we basically, if there's water, let's build on it. It's gonna be fine. Nothing's gonna happen.
Why not? There's money to be made. Let's make it. Exactly. I think what they're saying. I don't know. They're making their money.
Yeah, they're making money. And look what some of these makes these huge mistakes. I mean, look what happened to the building in Sunny Isles.
Boy, that's they're talking about that also being the case in a couple of buildings around here too, with Opera Tower down here. Yeah, it's. They have little Instagram accounts set up of all the just horrible shit that happens in them.
Jesus, dude, like that one didn't hit home, but it was my dad's friend or client was involved with it, in the sense that he lost his daughter and fiance from that.
From the Sunny Isles thing?
Yeah.
Jeez, that's awful.
She was staying over their grandparents' apartment that they have right there, and she was sleeping at 3 a.m. and boop, the collapse went down.
Whoa! I did not even know anybody that close to it. I know that's where my brother-in-law and my aunt and uncle have a summer home across the street from it.
Yeah,
but
No, that
Wow.
yeah, they
Awful.
they found the body later, because
Well,
they because that was a fin. It was MIA. Like we didn't know whether she was around there. Was she not? She was not being responsive. I mean, it was days later. Like stuck in the rubble for days, you're not gonna survive. Like no water, no food. Like, and God knows if you're bleeding. God knows if
yeah.
you're having internal bleeding as well. That a lot of factors can contribute. And, you ain't gonna survive that long.
Yeah. I wonder how many more places are like that. That's what's scary to me.
That's why I've. That's why I always say, like, I do not want to stay close to the beach when it comes to living in the beach. Like, I don't want to be right there because you never know what happens. Like that was an unexpected phenomenon that happened. But if you look at the history, you can tell it was with poor maintenance and it was ready to go any given time.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think it starts when people like start making, when it's well known in the community and it's well known
Yeah.
around everybody, you got to give it some sort of merit.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons. The other reason it's because of what I mentioned you early, the flooding. Like in a few years, if we don't take care of this, the whole thing's just gonna go underneath water. And obviously, you're close to the tsunami range, so obviously that's a contributing factor. Although I will say I do not. I am not scared of tsunamis happening in the East Coast as much. I cannot rule it out, but the reason why I say that it's because there's like there's like a tectonic reef if you push more east of the Atlantic Ocean, and any earthquakes that happen through there that causes a tsunami, the reefs itself will stop it's not the pressure, the current. It'll either stop the current or it'll slow down the current enough that the wave itself starts to calm down a little bit, and then once it reaches shore, it'll be a tsunami warning, but it won't be like devastating like Japan devastation. That will sweep the whole thing. It'll probably like 6 feet and flooding around, and then it'll just go back to normal. But it's not gonna be a side sweep, like the others that's happened.
That's actually pretty dope. I wonder if that's the tectonic plate. There's like, I don't know if there's one or if there was an area around east of the Atlantic that I was listening to on Rogan's podcast the other day. He had on a guy named Randall Carlson, who is the guy that's theorized of this thing called the Younger Dryas theory, or Younger Dryas impact theory. And that's what was the fourth extinction event that killed off humans. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. At the top of these little tectonic plate intersections, there is the best evidence for Atlantis being right there.
Oh,
yeah, it was a wild podcast, dude, to think about. Like, that's really where, like, they could have really had this, like, city that Plato was talking about.
Do you believe that actually Atlantis ever existed?
100%. 100%.
Do you now following with that? Do you believe that it was in the Atlantic Ocean and it wasn't somewhere else?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now that I listened to that podcast, what they were talking about, there's a lot more evidence now that it was over there. Yeah, it would have been by Newfoundland.
That's very interesting because I've always very curious of Atlantis itself and wonder where this lost civilization ever came down. And I always knew Atlantis was always like around hidden underneath water in the Atlantic Ocean, in between the Triangle and Bermuda,
Heard. Okay.
But for some reason, I don't know why, like I've heard recent, I cannot remember where I heard it. I just know I remember I heard it that they say that there may be evidence that suggested that Atlantis may not just be in the Atlantic Ocean, maybe also in the Mediterranean Sea, up in Europe and between Egypt and Europe, which some of them make sense due to the fact that if you see some of the old lost civilization of Atlantis and you see some of their artifacts and their statues and their shapes of their the infrastructures of their place, it's kind of similar to those of the Aztecs, the Mayans, and the Egyptians. The Egyptians with the pyramids and shit. So it's like kind of wild to think about that, but it's like, it kind of makes sense why it looks very like that, you know?
Right. I mean, also that was they say that it was sunken in, so this thing would have been above water too. So it's like it was a real place. I think. Well, I have no knowledge to discredit it. I guess the more they're finding out about these things.
I hope they find more stuff. In fact, I hope they find more like any like theories or suggestions that the lost civilization was even really humans.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. They could have been a whole different species. I know that Graham Hancock, or no, I'm sorry, Graham. It's Graham Hancock, I think, is the guy that wrote Fingerprints of the Gods. But we could be the fifth existence of beings on this earth, and the last thing that wiped out the others was basically like lightning, but like monsoons, and instead of rain, it was lightning. Think about that going all over the entire earth. Like what? Think about running like all of a sudden there's being lightning instead of rain.
Jesus, that's like fucking apocalypse level type shit.
Yeah, dude. Think of it. That's what they say drove everybody into caves, and then why we have the cave drawings, and then why we also don't have all this information of all the technology that made the pyramids. Because apparently to this day, we don't have the technology to completely recreate the pyramids at all.
No. And that's wild to me, the fact that we have technology advanced enough that we can build buildings, but we can never build a pyramid the way they used to build it back in the days.
Yeah, it blows my mind.
And I don't even know how they managed to pull it even for this long. Like we're talking about centuries, millennia, and these pyramids are still standing strong.
Yeah, and they're perfectly aligned. What blows my mind too is that they are entirely, what is it? The ratios of the size perfectly align with the constellation Orion, and the size of the pyramids are perfectly. I forget the word. It starts with a P. To the brightness of the stars in the constellation. So that's why there's varying size. But ratio-wise, they're completely perfect in matching those constellation and brightness.
See, when I'm hearing shit like that, I always believe that, nah, bro, that there's no fucking way that we had to do it by ourselves and build this shit. Like, nah, we had to have help. We had to have, but like, look at today's world, how stupid people really is.
Yeah.
They're not, imagine back then, people were definitely more idiots back then, but there's no chance in hell that someone of that caliber will be smart enough or even strong enough to even build such things, you know, like I to this day I still feel like we had to have help from somewhere. I don't know from where. I'm drawing possible conclusions. It could be from outer space, it could be from even from here, you know, the civilization that was before us. Like, who knows? I don't fucking know.
Exactly. I want to see more of it.
Yeah, I want to see more of it. I just know that there's no chance in hell that us humans, the way we are right now, because things kind of dumber down every year. I don't know.
Right.
There's no chance in hell that we managed to like build such perfection when it comes to these pyramids on any of these civilizations. There's like no way that we had to have help in some way or shape.
Yeah, but you find them across the world, so it's like it's always ancient civilization type stuff. So my thing is like it just had to be here before our human kind of ancestors even got here, and that just shows a lot about how much withstood time, because our buildings today aren't going to withstand shit.
Yeah, no, and that's nah, and it's funny because like those type of buildings itself can withstand storms, like Mother Nature itself. They can withstand those like it was nothing.
Yeah.
And then today's world, barely any building can withstand Mother Nature's wrath, you know?
It's just, yeah, it's a wild thing to fucking think about.
Jesus.
So that's also where like they talk about this term coincidentia oppositorum, and they say that that's like some sort of universal sign of like a universal religion. I'm sorry. And they say that Gothic cathedrals in Europe are evidence of that. So like you got that big center door, and then you got those two doors on the outside of it that are even, and they say that like once you understand the perfect dualities of this universe, that's when your third eye is awakened. And then it's like, whoa, okay, so that's been around since forever. So like, what if I don't know, was there religions before in other civilizations? Like, it's trippy to me to think about, like, that kind of thing.
It's kind of, I really don't know. There probably is. I'm pretty sure, because if you go back in history and you look at certain times in history, you can see that each civilization had their own warships. Like if you look at the Roman, like the Greeks had how many gods?
Right.
They had a lot of gods, the god of war, the god of thunder, the god of water. Like they had gods all around. There's like 20 fucking gods. And then you got the Roman Catholics, Jesus Christ and shit. I mean, you got the Judaism, you got the Jewish people on Hebrew and the Kabbalah shit. Then you got the Vikings that they worship Norse mythology. That's another range of gods as well. Then you got the Aztecs, the Mayans, believing in their weird gods that they need ritual sacrifice all the time. They also the Asian community, they have their own gods as well and their own spirits and shit. Buddhism,
Right.
So I do believe that a lot of people have been having this many religious beliefs in those times. It's just, I don't know. It's just there's no evidence to them.
Right.
It's only like the only evidence that it's been suggested is that man had to do this because they believe that this is the reason. Maybe it wasn't God's. Maybe it's just a coincidence, a natural coincidence that things happen, and that's why things actually work out. I don't know.
It could be. I was told the other day by one of my roommates about how, like, one of my homeboys, my best friend, had just made a song, and it was right. He made it a couple weeks before the latest Justin Bieber's track dropped.
Yeah,
and they sound eerily similar. And it's like, it's trippy because we made the joke that like Justin Bieber stole my boy's song. But then what my roommate was telling me is that when people get into this like creative flow state, like it's you tapping into this like stream of ideas when you're on certain frequencies and stuff. And then that's why certain songs and that's why certain things sound a lot similar and might look similar, is because when people are tapping into this like universal kind of flow, you're all going to catch those same sort of vibes. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting way to look at it.
You know what's funny about that? Because my former business manager has taught me something similar to that, because there were times in which I had these sick ideas when it comes to making music. It's like, oh, this is how I want it. Then before you know it, someone else completely different from my circle on the other side of the world release a song. And it's like, holy shit, I had this same idea a few months ago. I haven't talked to anybody. I know I had this idea. And I tell him, it's like, dude, I had the idea to make this song like this, this, and that. And he's like, well, you missed the boat. But it's like, dude, isn't this wild? The fact that I have zero connection to this person, and somehow he made it, and I know I had the idea. I was ready to do it. And he's like, here's the thing. Everybody's going to have the same ideas. It only matters who's going to go to the finish line first with it.
True. Very true. Very, very, very true.
If you have an idea, execute it, because somewhere in the world, somebody may have that same idea as well. And that's what happened. And I was just like wild with that thought. It's like, whoa, I could be one in a million in the world, and there could be someone else thinking the same way and thought process like I am. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Completely different backgrounds. And for some reason, there's a way that person and I can actually have that same wavelength.
That just goes to speak to the connection of all humans. It's why we, I think that the way that we're all trying to be divided and stuff is just kind of foolish, because it's always through collection. So like collective that we do better. And so all this dividedness on different religions and different spiritualities and stuff always baffles me, because they all have the exact, like we said, the exact same evidence of existence as they do non-existence. So for me, I used to have an atheist time in my life, and it's because I went to Catholic school and I've been raised in different religion, like different parts of Christianity, but it's all the same. And I started thinking, why not just say thanks to all the gods instead of thanks to none of the gods, since it's got to have happened at some point for all these people to say that they're out there. I'm not going to say that they're not.
I agree with you. I was never an atheist in my life. I was saying, well, I was raised in Catholic as well. They beat me to it, but I think it was around college in which I really stopped going to church overall, because I explained to my parents, like, you want me to get a degree, right? You want me to do this, like, yes. Then you have to let me not go on a Sundays to church. I have to go Sundays to college to go to the library and study and do these words, assignments and whatnot, because it's the only way for me to progress. And from there, little by little, I literally stopped overall and just like never look back. And then the more time I spent in college, the more ideal the appeal me, the fact that, like, you don't have to go to church just to prove your innocence. You just practice being a good person, and that's it. Like, if you believe in God, God will, we'll see it. Like, if we all do believe our own gods, if we believe our own gods and you practice being good and you are a good person, what is the reason for you to prove your innocence by going to church?
Right.
I mean, if I practice good every day, he knows it, right? We were taught that he sees everything you do. And if you do something wrong, ask for forgiveness, right?
Right.
Okay. So why can't I just do that right here in my bed? Why can't I just pray right here? Why do I have to pray over there?
Yep. I mean, that's all because of money.
Yeah.
Money back in the day, they charge everybody to forgive their sins back in the day. That was before anybody could read.
Yeah,
I feel you there. I totally agree.
Yeah. That's why I became a little bit much more open with religion. And in fact, I became much more intrigued with other people's religion. I just want to see their perspective of what they believe in God, in their own gods, That's why I was so, like, intrigued when learning these Greek mythologies, these Norse mythologies, these Kabbalahs and Judaism and other stuff. Like, I was just intrigued to the fact, like, what made you believe that this person or this God that you worship so much was real and gave miracles? Like, what events led you to it? It was just very intriguing for me to other people's learning. And then after that, I just became much more, I don't know, spiritual, I guess. I decided myself that, sure, I was raised by Catholics, so I have that mind that, I believe in Jesus, I believe in God. Do I believe that he's the only God? No, I believe there's probably something bigger than that. I believe more in the universe, the Alpha and Omega. That's what I believe. I always say, instead of saying it's like, oh shit, God's gonna get you one of these days. Like, no. The universe has an answer for everything, man. The universe is gonna do something for you. Karma is gonna get you. Everything, there's a cause and a reaction. Even energy-wise, there's always gonna be something about it. And I always believe that the universe has already a plan for you. Like, you just have to wait. It's gonna give it to you. You just have to wait and keep fighting hard, but the universe will answer for you.
It does. But if you do, I think you have to be doing something.
Yeah, no, of course. Like, I'm not saying it in a sense that's like, no, just don't do nothing and wait until something will hit you, because, like, it doesn't work like that. You have to seek for it. You have to work for it. That it's the only way for shit to even move forward.
Agreed. And I think that's too many people in our generation are just waiting for something to happen, waiting for a miracle to happen, waiting for this or that, the other. They're waiting for somebody, they're waiting for that person to find them. And I'm like, you don't get what you want by waiting. You get it by doing. And it's going to be a lot of failure, and it's going to be a lot of like trial and error, but you have to do.
Yeah, because in this life, like, ain't nobody's gonna do anything for you, man, unless you actually do it. You know, it doesn't work like that, you know? And if it does work, it's only for a short period of time, and you're gonna fall even harder because due to the fact that you never learn anything to begin with. You just you only learn that, oh yeah, people did it for me.
And did you even learn that? Chances are you start expecting that.
And that's something that I see a lot in this industry that you and me work. You know, like in the music industry, at least I see it in this weird shift era that we're experiencing right now, because we're right now in an era in which everything is accessible. Like, I can have anything. Like so it's funny because I was talking to one of my previous interviews. Was Semi-Dub. Shout out to him. We were talking about something similar to this. It's like, you know, it's funny that in today's world, all you need is $100 and you can make a song. Because what you need, a laptop, you need the DAW, the DAW, check. A few plugins, check. You just start scrambling to stuff, get a few samples, and boom, you got a song. It's much more easy versus a decade ago or more, everything had to be in the studio. Everything has to be recorded in the studio. Everything has to be, you know, tape, CDs, you know, like you had to do a lot of work just to record some of the stuff. And then it costs you money recording some of the stuff, because having a few takes until you get the right thing right, that costs time and money. Now it's just, I just pick up my laptop and I can make something. It's that easy.
Facts. I was listening to. I got to go shoot for an artist the other day at a guy named, I think his name's Roger Sanchez.
Oh yeah, studio. I've heard of him.
He's I didn't realize I had stepped into royalty essentially. With the artist A-Track.
Ooh.
So yeah, it was my first celebrity hire. That was like last week before.
That's what's up.
It was dope, dude. I got to listen to them. They were talking about some sort of they asked me to come record A-Track and them talking about this mixer that was like from the 90s. And it was like this drum mixer thing that had like 10 megabyte memory storage, and you're like, what? Yeah. It was wild to hear him geeking out about all the tech, but like it was dope because they nerded out over this whole machine that back in the day was like it was ahead of its time. But now you look at it now and you're looking at these floppy disks that had maximum 3 megabytes of memory on it. You're like,
Jesus, what? I remember the floppy disks. Yeah, like megabytes. We're talking no more than 10. You'd be lucky if you had a 10 megabyte floppy disk.
Dude, I look at this, I listen to this, that kind of talk, and I'm like, my photos today are 24 megabyte pictures. Like their pictures are 24 megabytes. It's like, think about, and some of them 80. And you're just like, songs can only be 3? That's crazy. But also I hear that audio is a lot more, it's a lot smaller than pictures, but still.
Nah, pictures was always smaller than audio.
Yeah?
Oh yeah. I mean, if you compare pictures with a regular phone, yeah, it's always gonna be like a few megabytes. Like it doesn't pass no more than 5, depending on the quality. If you have it from your phone. Now, if you got it like a fucking professional camera, like a Canon, Sony, or Nikon or some shit, the highest I've seen on a picture with great quality and shit was probably like, I don't know, like 20 megabytes. It's not that big, you know?
Yeah, now Sony's are getting up to 80.
Jesus, that's wild.
80 something a photo.
Nah, bro, like a song itself, if you get the actual original print out today, the original wave, yeah, it's 80 megabytes, depending on the length of the song. And we're talking about a regular song for 3 minutes or 4 or something like that, and it's 80 megabytes or something. Depending. And then when you convert it into MP3, that compresses it a lot. It will downgrade it into like a 10 megabyte, a 8 megabyte, 5 megabyte, depending on it, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, no, like when it comes to picture quality on sizes, yeah, pictures were no matter how good or bad they always gotta be way lower than audio. Audio has so much frequencies passing by that it needs to generate that much of megabytes for it to be fulfilling and completed altogether. Pictures is you can say when it comes to frequencies, you can say pictures take one shot of frequency because
Okay.
it's basically so you're shooting one shot of the frequency. The frequency is moving, but when you take the picture, you freeze it, and that's
Right.
the one frequency that you took. So you're not really grabbing a lot to it. It only becomes bigger when you start adding more stuff into it. Just like any other thing. Like if you take the picture and then you start adding little graphics like clearing the picture a little bit brighter, adding a little bit contrast, a little bit of coloring, removing some stuff. Yeah, it could be a little bigger, but thanks to today's world, like in photo shoot, I see like a great picture compresses down to 7 megabytes, some weird shit
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. JPEGs definitely for sure.
Yeah. So wow, that's very interesting, especially from two guys who are like literally old school.
Yeah. Yeah, it was wild to hear. And then they they were going over old beats that Roger hadn't even touched since the 90s.
What?
And it was where went my earring? Um I don't know if he's going to give him the A-track to use or not for some new samples or something, but like, yeah, it was wild, dude. It was wild to listen to those old school guys talk about that kind of stuff.
Jesus. Have you
They're both really nice.
Have you ever mentioned like how did they ever produce music back in the days?
I don't know. I know it was more analog back then.
Yeah.
I've got a boy making an entire he started with a 6-channel, I think. It's a small little box.
Oh,
but,
right.
He's got an original Bluebird.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That mic is power. That mic is money right there.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said he found a vintage Bluebird and he had it in the box. It had all the foam still in there, real taken care of. But yeah, I'm learning about all this kind of stuff.
So you haven't had this much of experience when it comes to music shit and photo shit. You actually kind of like learned this on the as a few years back.
Yeah, probably maybe 3 years now, three and a half years. I've taught myself everything on YouTube and
YouTube Academy.
Yeah, dude. I mean, why not, dude? It's like I got a goal. I started seeing all these kinds of. I was a waiter, dude. And I've loved being a waiter. I've been in this industry now. I'm 33. I've been doing this since I was 15. And I just noticed that it was horrible pictures being made onto social media for representation of the restaurant. And I'm like, this does nothing. I would not go to this place if I saw this online. There's nothing about it that drives me or my interest. And it was just about like tits and ass and just like fakeness all around. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to change the way this is done because this is annoying. There's no marketing company is listening to anybody's, or they're not thinking about if the busser is going to make more money on the content. And they should be, because, if a busser's making more money than that, it's because there's more foot traffic coming into the restaurant or the bar. And that's probably because of the marketing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let me just refocus. So I've just been trying to figure out the best ways to do things to compete. And just showcase a new way of being proud of your restaurant, and by focusing on employees.
Is that what actually prompted you to actually do these type of stuff?
Yeah. The goal was I was sitting. I had just gotten a drone. I learned all this backwards. So I learned photo and video originally with a drone, and then got a camera. And in between there, I was using my iPhone to run restaurants' Instagrams, like luxury restaurants' Instagrams. I was doing it all with an iPhone. And because I noticed all these little influencer chicks on there were doing the same thing. I'm like, why can't I do it? So it's literally that easy. It's just kind of typing in the question that you want to know and just on YouTube, and literally it tells you everything. Yeah. So my goal was I was sitting on a Metro Rail train going from like Dadeland. I'd just gotten something at Best Buy and I was coming back to Brickell. And I was thinking to myself, man, I'd rather be on a train to different countries in this world to like learn about why those people do what they do in this hospitality industry, or why they do what they do in an artist world, uh, rather than being on a metro rail to different Miami stations. Like, let me get on the train to different world stations.
Right.
But then I started thinking, how am I going to get there? How is a dude going to get the attention, or to get these hotels to fly him out there? Because I've got no boobs, I've got no little butt that people want to see. It's like, I got to go ahead and create some sort of real value,
Yeah.
That's where it all came from, man. It's just like, just trying to get around the world just without paying for it.
I mean, that's the goal. That's the goal, right?
How do I figure that out? And I think I figured it out, man. I think I've got a little bit of a grasp on it. And so now it's just the amount of time it's taken the last few years of just grinding every day, all day, every day. I don't know what a break is. And it's starting to reach people now. So we're starting to see the come up.
And how do you actually start it up by saying, like, let me just go ahead and start helping you out? Where do you win and where do you start it? And how did people actually win? Like, yeah, go.
It was probably my current job and boss. I work at Better Days in Miami. Shout out to Better Days and my team there, and Will, my boss, who was one of the first ones to kind of like let me just be creative in the bar. Before I was an employee there, I went from like a degenerate drinker there, and and then a lot of us got our employment by just being drinkers there.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. You're manageable degenerate. You're a manageable degenerate.
You're manageable.
Yeah, exactly. But he's always been a very, very encouraging person that's just let me kind of go in there and practice, do things with Flash, do things on video. The guys at Blackbird let me shoot there originally too, and practice. And then I used to have a restaurant. It was like a Michelin style restaurant, and the chef was a chef of mine at a restaurant that I was a server. He was a chef, and he saw what I was trying to do in the restaurant with the marketing, and was like, "Why don't you just come shoot one of my dinners one time?" And then I went over to his house and got to watch him for like 14 hours and just record the whole process. And then that day, at the end of it, he and his wife were like, "We'd actually like you to be a partner in this with us." And that's where a lot of my my growth and my knowledge came from about the fine dining world, and like Thomas Keller and all these people that taught him what he knows. I got to try to figure out how to do on camera in real time. So that taught me a lot. Was just like that, like he's cooking and I got to figure out the right thing to do on the camera or whatever.
Right.
Didn't know what I was doing before, but at the end of the day, I ended up knowing a lot more. So it was just by like being in the situation that I learned.
That's pretty cool, man. And your story is so funny because like that's the similar story to every other successful person that's ever come up in the industry. Is like, dude, I just started to do it, just doing this and that and nonstop. And yeah, I had nothing, and I just went ahead because it's like that's the only thing I had. And all of a sudden, they're big and known.
Right, but I think that's what we had talked about the first time, though, was like, do you think that if you had known what it would take to do all these things that you want to do, would you have done it? Because for me, I didn't realize, like, my ignorance is what I think helped catapult me to doing it. It's because I had no idea what everything would take in the back end, but I just knew I could do a little something. So I tried. And I think sometimes, like, if people were to know how difficult it was, or how many hours go into learning all this stuff. And it's been, like I said, 3 years of nonstop. I'm always shooting and I'm always trying to create. I'm always practicing. I don't think, had somebody told me about the amount of hours that you have to put in, I don't necessarily know if I would have done it. But my sheer ignorance kind of let me just be foolish enough to try.
See, like, thinking about that conversation that you and me we had, like, I don't know if about that, because maybe it's because I'm the type of person that I'm very easy to absorb knowledge and information, and I adapt to it. And I always like prefer, like, if I'm doing something wrong, correct me. Go ahead and correct me so I don't continue doing the same wrong mistake, And if somebody can go ahead and tell me from the start, like, hey, don't be a fucking promoter. Don't worry about being a promoter. Just focus on making music and stick with music, Eventually, it's gonna get good. You just have to put in the hours. It's gonna be a time consuming. You may not see it, but you will reach it. You don't have to go waste your time on promotion. You don't have to waste your time on sucking on each other's titties and kissing their asses and selling tickets or whatnot just to put your name on it. No, just focus on your music, and eventually your music's gonna be that good that it's gonna get picked up.
I think a lot of the traditional ways of achievement are fucking done.
If I would have known that before I decided to join to be a promoter, like I would probably be much more ahead of in my career life.
I would say that the way that that's probably true. It's interesting that I'm not familiar with how the old school system went in that world, or in mine, to be completely honest. I've only done through the evidence of what I've done is just doing.
Yeah. I mean, the end of the day, yeah, like you said, you just have to do it regardless, no matter what. Like, there's no shortcuts in all this. And I'm not trying to say that I'm trying to here to cut corners around that. Like, no, because cutting corners will not get you far at all. Like, and I've seen it happening so many times with a lot of local artists that I've grew up, and, by doing that, they end up by doing nothing. They're now nothing right now to this day. And yeah, no, I'm not saying I would never say that. I will never agree to that. I always will tell people, guys, like, if you really want this, look at all the sacrifices I had to do and endure just to do this. In fact, me being the promoter to DJing in free festivals in 1 year, big festivals. We're talking about Life in Color, Sunset Music Festival, and a huge sold out festival that happened in my hometown in Puerto Rico, which big headliners came along. Nobody would ever believe that I actually did those for free.
Right. Same. A lot of times I'll do it for free first.
And those are the type of sacrifices that you have to make. Like, you have to make, and I'm telling you, it's like hours I put into, like money that I spent, credit cards that I built up debt out of it because I had a goal and I needed to get there. I didn't have that full support from my family. I had nothing. I was just me, myself, and that's it. And gotta go. And like, this is the goal. We gotta do it. People don't really realize that until I explain my story and say, like, guys, like I got debt all over my ass, but was it worth it? Absolutely, because it got me to where I am. But could I have avoided that by just like not doing promotion and just stick by making music? Because I already had the contacts, I already had artist contacts before I was a promoter. I already got homies of mine that they were making it in the scene. So I really didn't need to go networking these festivals to meet more people. I just had to stick by with my music and exchange feedbacks, and eventually it's gonna come up. I wish somebody could have told me that from the start. Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not gonna deny it. I wish somebody could tell it, and I could have avoided so many hours wasted. I don't know if I would say wasted, because a lot of those hours were much more of me learning my life and learning what I'm trying to do. Like, and I'm glad that I did it, because, at least I can share this knowledge to the next person. But yeah, like, if somebody would told me just stick with music before I even started, I would have taken that route. So I'm a very like knowledgeable person, much more like guidance. Like, if you give me some sort of a guidance that can actually help further my career, I'll take it into consideration and definitely, decide at the end of the day what I gotta do. But obviously, in my mindset, having this knowledge, you still have to put in the work, no matter what.
Yeah. But I think that's so. You have to have a reason to do it, and I think that's what a lot of people they're missing. They're missing the reason.
Most of the time, the reasons are the wrong reasons, and when I say wrong reasons, is they see it as like a scapegoat to reality, a scapegoat for like, I don't want to have a 9 to 5. Like, I don't really want to do this. Like, I see how these people are getting famous very quickly, getting to the parties very quickly. It's that easy. I just have to be a DJ. I get bottles and shit and women. I just have to make music. I'll have somebody to make it for free for me. I'll sell it to somebody. I'll make money, and that's all they got to do, and travel for free and yada, yada, and get paid for it. See that
Yep.
a lot of times people actually do that because that's like the easiest way to get a quick buck, easiest way to get recognized, instead of actually doing it for the right reasons, which are, that you're actually passionate about it, that you're willing to put in the hours. Most of the time, these people don't want to put in the hours. It's too much. It's too much. Like, oh, I can't. I don't have time. Like, I want to do this, do that, and this is that. It's like the greatest. They had to do sacrifices.
Yeah.
They had
They made the time, and they lost the relationships, and they lost the those friend groups and stuff like that, because they ended up knowing that what they were after was so much bigger than what was at risk of being lost.
Yeah,
that's what I look at. Is like, where's your passion come from? Where does that come from? For me, it's about having learned the term ikigai, which is the Japanese term for the purpose of being that I talked to you about that day. I talked to everybody that went into that room that day in the green room. It's 4 things, and they have to combine all 4 of these. You have to have them in order to never feel a lack of being and purpose in this life. And it's, what are you good at? What does the world need? What can you get paid to do? And then what do you love? And if you find a way to connect all 4 of those, you will never, ever sense a sense of lacking in your life in any aspect. And that's what I don't think a lot of people recognize, is that, why are you doing this music? Why are you trying to create this? Like, is it going to be for all these things and girls? No, because it shouldn't. That's not what's going to carry you at all. What will carry you is like this absolute drive, this absolute determination to get to this other point. And I think that's what carries the most successful people. And that's what it's evident when you listen to their music, when you watch their videos, see their pictures, you can tell that there was actually something that was behind that creation.
Yeah, I mean, some of the people that I interviewed, like these guys are on a fast track to get into where they are, and they started not too long ago, and I see then how involved they are, and they tell me how many hours they put into, how much struggle they had to get through and get to that point. I'm just like, damn, bro. See, this is the real shit. This is why you're gonna make it. Because you're drive for it, you're happy, and you're not like, oh man, like, I'm doing this for money, I need money. Like, no, like, money doesn't come into your head for this. You're just doing it because you just want to. I'm like, hey, I'm doing this podcast show, I'm not earning 1 cent out of it. In fact, I'm investing myself even more money on this. Why? Because it makes me happy. I'm passionate about this shit, and I want this to grow even further, I'll do whatever it takes to get further, and I know it's not gonna be a year from now. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have the 1,000 views and shit. Like, no, dude, that's work. Like, you need to work your ass off to get to that viewership, to get that organic growth, so people can actually see you, like, be like, holy shit, look at this. Like, look what he's doing. Look what he's spitting facts about. Like, look what he's talking about. Holy shit, I didn't know that this shit works like that. Like, yes.
Yeah.
And that's hard work. You just have to be dedicated and passionate about it. Yeah, it's that saying that, that you're when you're working on a job, and if you're passionate about it, because you don't feel it like it's a job. It's just a regular everyday something that you just happen to do, and you love it, and you make money out of it.
Yeah, that's also what I like to shoot. I like to shoot those workers. For me, social media has been too much of a distraction to a lot of people, and it can, if it's a distraction, it can also be a tool. You just have to learn how to use the algorithm to your benefit.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the way the content that I create doesn't necessarily go with what the algorithm is doing, but at the same time, I shoot hard workers working hard, in the sense that, like, if somebody is a busser in a restaurant, or somebody's a hostess or a server or a bartender, something like that, and they're doing the thing they do every single day, right, that actually gets people into this venue to enjoy their time and to spend money, we don't focus enough time on thanking them for their efforts. And so that's where I've decided to go ahead and capture those moments of people doing the mundane tasks, but enjoying it and doing it well and leading their team, because I think that's something that goes ahead and creates more of an incentive to do better at what you do every day, is because if, finally it's being glorified, go ahead and, take pride in it. I think people should be more proud of what they do every day that
Yeah,
earns them money so they can chase their side hustles.
I agree. I agree. And not many people actually like see that, At the end of the day, everybody's human, You have to treat everybody like humans. You can't treat them as these tools that they're just bringing your food and taking your orders just because. Like, nah, bro. Like, these are working hard people that actually care about doing some of this shit. Maybe some of them don't do it because they don't really care because it's just a job for them and just passing by. But the people that really do, you can actually see them and you can actually see them progress even further. I mean, I've seen back in my day when I used to work in the Clevelanders, I've seen bussers who became bartenders, servers, and then managers.
Yep.
Like I've see that trajectory, and it's just like, dude, I remember when I came in, you were just a busser, man. You were just a barback. Now look at you. Now look where you are, man.
And that's a great evidence. That is a great representation of anything that those people will put their mind to in life.
Mm-hmm.
If they have the fucking drive to do that, and then they have the I don't know, the inspiration to do music, chances are if they just apply that same mindset to the music, just like you've done, you're probably good at promoting. Therefore, if you take your mind and put it at the music and yourself, you invest in yourself, you're going to do even better, because there's nobody that we work harder for than ourselves.
I agree. You just, like I said, at the end of the day, you just have to put your mind to it, bro. Like, you have to be very passionate, because when it comes to creativity, like stuff like this, it just doesn't happen just because like that, and all of a sudden, blah, you pull some of that. And like, no, something had to inspire you for you to actually do it and actually like make something, and then see like the accomplishment by doing that stuff. I mean, I get excited when I'm making a song and I did like I visualize it of an idea, like, oh man, what if I do this on this drop in one night? And when I finished the drop, I listened to it. I was like, holy shit, I did that. I did that. Holy crap.
Right.
And then you just get your pumped up adrenaline kick in and just go, oh, let's go do this. Let's go do this. Let's go do this.
Yeah, dude, that's exactly it, man. And then like people don't, oh man, I love that feeling too. It's just like when you just little by little, and then at the end you just look at it and you're like, oh, what?
Yeah. That's like a fuck sick feeling,
That's something I couldn't trade for the world, dude. That's why dude, I went celibate for a year to make sure that I was doing this for the right reasons, And then I've gone homeless chasing my dream, dude, because I had to make sure that like money wasn't the reason I was doing it. Nobody could just pay me to do what I do. And, it's taught me a lot. I've pulled myself out of that mud, but it's like, those creation moments, nothing beats those for me, dude. And it's a feeling I wish more people could have.
I really think so as well. I think people don't actually do that because I think they're afraid. I think that's like one of the biggest things. Like I've heard, it's like they're afraid, I guess, failure.
Oh, I love failure though. That's the thing. Failure to me is like, I've employed a thing I call second step thinking. It's like, okay, that thing happened. And then, like you said, there's choices and then there's consequences. And then what I think about is then what's the next choice after the consequence, right? Mm-hmm. So if I make this decision and then all of a sudden it's a failure, what's my next choice? And I'm thinking about those kind of things. I'm always trying to think ahead. And for me, failure is just a very, very tangible opportunity for me to grow. And so why wouldn't I love failure? I mean, I've done a video on YouTube called Why We Need to Struggle. It's because if you notice at the end of every struggle, we're tougher. So why would we get upset that we get these moments of like tests and path obstruction? Right. Other than that's actually where we get to learn how to be stronger. It didn't kill us. Therefore, we should be happy that we just got that moment. But a lot of us don't want to recognize that these are actual things that we've been asking for, just in different forms than what we were expecting. People want to say, oh, gimme, gimme, gimme. And instead, they're missing all the signs of what they're asking for because they're not actually looking for that opportunity to grow. They just want it given to them. I think that when you're like us, if you're any chance to perform or to go, we're going to take it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and if it's, something that we emotionally attached to, but like a lot of people, man, are just like, they're not aware yet. I don't know how to show them how to be more aware. We're
Yeah,
trying.
that's a very hard way to guide people who are not like that and give them that guidance, that help, and say like, dude, this is the way,
Yeah.
like I wish I had an answer for that. I really don't. The only thing I can just demonstrate by telling people is like, well, guys, listen to my story.
Exactly.
Learn from my story, I guess. Like I made mistakes. Homies of mine made mistakes, and I learned from all of them, and I learned some of these things and want to teach you guys so you can learn, so you can know some of these things. And maybe by me sharing my stories, you can actually think about what can things are passionate for you to do. Like it doesn't have to be music wise. I mean, music, it could be subjective for anybody. Like anybody can actually like say, I want to be a musician, but can you actually execute it? And are you gonna be happy every day when you're doing it? Because money comes and goes, but and sometimes when on this early stages of making music, you're gonna be broke as shit. Like like, dude, I've heard this the struggling artist routine before. It's not a routine that I recommend if you're having second thoughts. If you really are having second thoughts, I recommend not doing that, and I recommend probably not pursuing music if you actually do feel that, because the people who actually pursue music, they didn't have any second thoughts. They just do it and just did it because that's what makes them happy. You just have to do stuff that makes you happy and get that wedge, that carrot that you gotta follow through. That.
Oh, that's the follow through too. That's another thing. The follow through is big. A lot of people don't think about the follow through.
Yeah, they sleep on it too much.
Yeah, you can do one thing, but you got to make sure you're, like you said, you're not going to have those second doubts, like those second thoughts, because my second thoughts, I don't know. Again, I don't know if it's my ignorance or not, but like my second thoughts of like if I can do it or not are I don't think about them. If I can't do it, I'll figure out a way to do it right there. I will be resourceful and I will figure it out on the fly, because I'm not going to not achieve something. I'm not going to not create something. There's too much technology out there right now for us to utilize. And for me, I use my phone for every video that I create is been on my phone, because why not? Plus, I'm always using it. I'm always on it. Might as well learn how to edit on it. And
that's pretty sick.
Yeah, it is what it is. I try to. That's one of the ways that I try to compete to make my content and my abilities more valuable to clients, is to go ahead and say, listen, if you use me, kind of give me the goal that you want in a video, I'll go ahead and step into the venue or wherever to the event. I'll shoot it. I'll get you a video in like an hour and a half. So the only way to do that is with a phone.
That's pretty dope, man. That's pretty dope. Like learning from the phone and doing everything through the phone. Mad props to you, bro. Mad props. And yeah, I guess like people like we keep circling back to it. Like I feel like people are afraid. And then the other thing I want to add to is not only that they're just afraid, but they're lazy.
Yeah. So lazy.
Fucking lazy, bro. And it's because, again, we circle back to the accessibility to stuff. Like everything is so easy accessible for you to do stuff that I don't know what it is human brains or human subconscious that they become lazy about it, because they'll it's some psychological shit that for us humans that we think like, oh, because we have it right there, like we don't have to worry about it much. Like I could just access to it any given time and I just do it and that's it. But because of that mindset, that means that you will not do it today and you'll probably not do it tomorrow or next week or so. You'll do it whenever you actually feel like you're doing it, and then you're just gonna cuss up the world. It says like, the world is so fucked up, man. Like they didn't treat me right. Is that maybe it's because you didn't do anything? You were too lazy and worry about what people think about. Like you didn't want to put in the work. You just want to cut the corners all around, and that's why nothing good ever came from you. Because you never worked for anything good to begin with.
Yeah, if you have time to complain, then you're not doing shit.
Oh man, talk about complaints, bro. What do you think about all these social justice warriors on social media, bro?
Ooh, boy, do not get me started on that. Dude, we have had the year of the SJWs, at least since the beginning of the pandemic. Golly, they're everywhere. I tell you what, pontificating on everything they do. Oh.
Bruh, like every corner something happens, there's gotta be some asshole who's not doing anything in their goddamn lives and go ahead and start mouthing out. It's like, oh, you're a horrible person. It's like, what just happened? Why am I a horrible person? You're a hater because you did this and that. It's like, NANI? Okay, I guess people hate me because I have an opinion. What? My God, people has like, now they believe that they're entitled to their opinions, which they are, but the level of entitlement and belief that they say like it's either this or nothing, you're never gonna get anything out of it. I was like, who the fuck are you?
Exactly. Who's anybody? What did you do? Say all these things? That's what nobody thinks about.
What are your credentials in all this that for me to say like, oh yeah, this is how it's supposed to be? I'll tell you my credentials. Been in the industry for 10 years, worked on the nightlife for over a decade, DJing for 15 and producing for 5. Those are my credentials. I think I know a little bit more about you than some Yahoo that only knows nothing than 6 months ago he just started the fuck out of here. What is going on?
Exactly. They're just sitting around, and that's the only way to cloud chase is they think that they can go ahead and snag onto the coattails of somebody else just by critiquing them. You don't know anything, bro. Like, who the fuck? You're right. Who the fuck are you? You just been doing this for how long? Yeah. Okay. But yet they're getting a platform, and that's what blows my mind. Is that we're rewarding that kind of behavior a little bit. Yeah,
I don't like it that it's getting rewarded that way, you know, like people lose jobs over shit like this, you know?
I mean, we see what's happening. What's wild to me is what's happening to Rogan right now and that whole thing.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it because this is something very important to talk about, and that affects every podcaster out there in the world, including me. Like, this is something that we need to discuss about it.
Yeah, the thing is, like, you're going to pull up something from 12 years ago, and you're not even going to, then consider the 12 years that this person has put behind the message that they're getting out there. Yeah. The message is just genuine curiosity. So you have people with different topics on, and then we have enough time on our hands that people are attaching and calling him some sort of misinformation guy when it's like, I don't think that was what he was trying to do with any of this.
And he's just a thinker. He's just a curious person that has multiple people every episode of his. He has different people who has different beliefs, different ideologies, different religious beliefs, different political views, you know? Like, how many times have we seen like people from the Democrats and the Republicans in his podcast? How many times have we seen doctors? How many times have we seen, comedians, like former military people, representatives? Like, dude, people who come over, like, it's funny because Joe Rogan's podcast is an all-around podcast. Like, people just sit down and have a conversation with him. And that's what he does. He just sits down and have a conversation. He doesn't just tell people it's like you shouldn't be taking the vaccination. Like, no, he's not even saying that. He's just saying like, well, based on my experience, I didn't take the vaccine. I took this and I consulted to some of my doctor friends, and they were saying it's okay to do this. He never said that he's an anti-vaxxer. He never said that he's totally against the vaccine. He just says like he's not comfortable wearing it himself. He's not saying don't do it, guys. Don't do it. It's not a people come over to his show and talk about speculations about it's weird that the vaccine came out so quick and fast. Hey, I had those fucking doubts as well before I took my vaccine shot. Absolutely, I have my doubts. It's like, God damn, that was very fucking quick for them to actually pull this vaccination this early, and a year after like a year after the whole pandemic and shit. Like it's kind of wild for this shit. It's all speculation, and we can talk about it. It's okay to have the opinions, but saying that, oh, Joe has been saying all this shit is like, nah, you don't listen to his podcast, because he not once has he ever said something like that. And he's just talking out of his ass. He said it multiple times. It's like, I'm not a smart person. I'm a dumb fuck. I'm a dumb person. I'm just here to learn, and that's what he does. And
exactly. I just love how people just wanted to go ahead and then all of a sudden care about their health. And everybody else is around them.
Yeah, like that fake, it's like, oh, like that's very offensive to black people. It's like, have you asked the black community? Have you talked to them if they say it's offensive? If it's offensive, then they have the right to say it. The same thing that I remember Gabriel Iglesias said something similar to that. Is like when it comes to Latinos, like people like me, they say, having people like defending my honor, whether they do realize or not, that like I'm not offended by all. Like, I don't really need your help. Thank you for defending me, but I've never asked. Oh yeah, it was something about tacos. Like people were going after. Like, I'm telling you, this is how bored these social justice wars were. Like they started saying, like, don't you think it's kind of racist that we have a lot of Taco Bells across the country and we assume that tacos and burritos are all Mexican food? Like, we should stand up for our brothers from Mexico and be like, yo, we let's eat your food. Like, this is not your food. And people, Gabriel Iglesias is like, oh, okay, but I like tacos.
Yeah,
I like to go to Taco Bell. Those specials, those $1 per taco. Like, fuck yeah, sign me up. Like, I don't really thank you for defending me, but I wasn't offended.
Exactly, dude. And I'm wondering about all these things about bringing up about Rogan's racism and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, the black community that brought it up, I don't feel like it was.
No, because if not, then we would have heard it a long time ago. Like, we would have heard people that from the BLM or the Antifas or whatever. Like, we would have heard it by now by saying like, yo, cancel Rogan because he said the N word a long time ago and blah, 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 and we would have heard by now. No. It's people that they're goddamn bored and they got nothing else to do. And they see something latch, like it's been the talks, and they want to add more fuel to the fire. And that's what it all is. Like, we're making a big deal out of literally nothing. Okay, maybe not nothing, because he did say that and he did make some jokes, but guess what? That was him back then, and he apologized. He apologized. What else are we asking for him? No, no, a real apology, I said, is cancel you. Like, quit, cancel the contract with Spotify. You're going to take away his job, his livelihood? Why? He apologized.
Exactly.
What's done is done. There's no going back. Like, unless unless we found out that he killed somebody or like sexually raped somebody,
right?
Or being a pedo or do some foul criminal shit. Unless we find out that he was he was best friends with fucking Jeffrey Epstein, I don't know what else do you really want. Like, I feel like the energy is way too hard on it. Like it's done. It's similar to the same thing that happened to Kevin Hart a few years ago. You remember that Kevin Hart was about to host the Grammys, and that was his. No, it wasn't the Oscars. And that was his long time dream to do the Oscars. And the Oscars were excited. He had skits. He was ready to host them. And then all of a sudden, again, social justice warriors out of left field comes out of nothing and pulls out an old tweet of Kevin Hart saying it's something about, if I found out that my son is playing dolls and made me wonder if he's gonna be turning gay or something, then I'm gonna smash that shit and give him a fucking Tonka truck. But obviously it's a joke. It's a joke. Because I heard this bit before on one of his comedy specials. And we're talking about 8-10 years ago. He doesn't make those type of jokes now. And everybody was after him because they were saying that the LGBTQ plus community were after him and say like, oh, that's homophobic from his part. And you're like, what? What are we fighting about? What? That was 8 years ago. He is not the same person he was 8 years ago. And what astounds me is that the Oscars pull him out. And
Yeah, for fear of whatever.
for fear, so they can always be in the right side of everybody, you know? And the Oscars telling them, like, yo, you gotta apologize. It's like, well, I'm sorry. I did, sorry. Yeah, but you gotta apologize to this and that. And he's like, no. The fuck, I'm not gonna apologize. Like, I already said sorry. What more do you want from me? More. Well, no, I'm not gonna do it. Or if they don't want to accept my first time apology, then they can suck an egg, literally.
Exactly. But that's not enough people stand by that. Too many people are ready to just cave to the apologetic fucking whatever side it is. And it's just like, God damn, really?
Look at
that way?
And even like Dave Chappelle controversy, man.
Oh God. Yeah, that too. Fuck.
I was definitely very vocal about the Dave Chappelle controversy. I was definitely by Dave Chappelle. I was like, I defend this guy. I don't give a shit. Like, I've been a Dave Chappelle fan. Maybe you can say, oh, that's you and your biases. Like, sure. But guess what? I know when somebody crosses the line. Like, I know when the line is being drawn, and I know when somebody crosses it. Dave Chappelle has never crosses any lines. Does he say foul shit? Yeah. But then again, guess what? It's comedy.
Yeah.
That's what they get paid to do. Comedy, make fun of. That's what it is. Ha ha ha. Jokes. We laugh about it.
You don't have to get so sensitive and wound up over something that somebody wasn't even serious about.
And not only that, it wasn't serious. It's like most of the time, some of these comedy sketches are lies. They're just made up. But guess what? They made it up because it's entertaining. Like, they're not even serious to half of the shit that they say, you know? But
exactly.
It's stuff that's laughable. And for them to go ahead, it's like how he's transphobic. He doesn't have that he doesn't like the transgenders. He has something I can say. Like, no. And for them to say about like, oh, he's transphobic on the last special, I'm like, did you guys saw the same special that I saw? Because in no way he was ever transphobic. And the last joke was a real serious one in which he talked about how he was close with this transphobic person that he was good friends with. And that person stand by Dave Chappelle and everybody from the LGBTQ committee, plus the other people who are not involved in that, but they just want to be involved. They roasted that person. They roasted it to the point that she killed herself. And not one person from the LGBTQ community was like, oh man, poor Daphne, poor person that had to go for this. No, it had to be Dave Chappelle, the supposedly transphobic person, to defend this person, you know. And he said it himself, like he put a trust fund, a college fund for Daphne's child so they could go to college. Does that sound to you like a fucking transphobic person?
Exactly. It doesn't sound like it at all, but it's like, why did everybody get attached to that? It's like, you got too much time on your hands, dude. And also watch the special. You got that much time to criticize. You got that much time to talk shit. Watch the fucking special so that you understand what's being said.
Yeah, bro. I feel like we've lived in this world where the lie is much more entertaining than the truth. Like, nobody really gives a shit about the truth when the lie is much more entertaining.
Yeah, it's scary, but that's also where I guess that's the fuel that drives the creations that I try to do.
It's a dopamine effect, you know?
Yeah. It's disgusting. And that's, you know, all the media people and all the social media apps, all these things know it. They use it to their advantage and our disadvantage. And that's why we're caught in these little loops all the time, just worrying about the dumbest shit instead of what actually can go ahead and drive all of us higher up.
You know, like when I stopped watching the news because I noticed that every time I turn in on the news, there's nothing happy about it. There's nothing like you can say like, oh my God, there's a sort of achievement. No, bro. Everything is just fucking depressing. Like somebody killed somebody, bad weather, war is coming, the politics from both parties, and yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's been years since I've watched any type of mainstream news. I have a few channels that I watch on YouTube, some independent news media that I watch religiously, that are really good. There's I don't know if you've heard of Breaking Points. It's with a guy named Sagar and somebody else, but it's very balanced.
Mhm.
And then it's not as much. You don't have that whole corporate greed behind it. And then I also watch a show called Morning Invest, and that's just by this husband and wife. That dude used to be a correspondent on Fox years ago, and then became basically a good financial wizard with stuff, and then just decided to start his own news thing to bring like the stories to American people so that they can understand what's happening. And it's again not corporate paid for or anything like that. So you get a real genuine approach to the news, and they definitely try to make it to where it's not depressing and want to kill yourself type shit, where it's actually like broken down and just like what we're doing here. It's just a conversation like this.
And I feel like that's much more better off than your traditional mainstream shit. I mean, it's scary, the fact that I cannot trust anything that goes from them, because everything is so biasy. Like you can have one specific event and it's being told differently on two different news stations. Like whatever happened on the White House, CNN is gonna report it at a certain way, and then Fox is gonna report it on another way. And it's wild to me to like believe, like, how is it possible that we got such biasy and not having like the actual facts about it, you know? And that's media manipulation at the end of the day. That's media manipulation. And it scares me, the fact that, my parents, they see the news every day and see this type of shit. And they, when we have these conversations, they said, no, but the news, they said it as well. It's like, damn, bro, like they don't even know, like, half of the shit that happens on these news is just bullshit, like, and then if I talk about it, if I say something about it, it's like, I'll stop reading what Facebook says and whatnot. I was like I'm sorry, I'm not one of these Karens that they believe anything that goes for Facebook and says that's how the world works. Like, no, like, I educate myself by listening to people and listening to different various podcasts and listening to people talk and speak. Like, I educate myself, by doing that type of shit. But
yeah,
but it's like Facebook, it's the wild, wild west in there.
You know that, I don't know if you saw that something like 19 of the largest 21 or 22 Christian groups on Facebook are run by Russian bot farms.
What?
Yeah. They're like troll farms, Russian troll farms. They run that's so like I don't know if you remember a couple of years, it might have been longer than a decade. There was a like a Middle Eastern conference set up right across from a like Second Amendment conference in Dallas. And it turns out that both of those Facebook groups that ended up coordinating all that were both run by Russian troll farms. And so that's how they're suggesting that the next wave of war won't be any type of like soldiers lost on a battlefield, but it will be based on like the type of misinformation that like Russia and China are able to go ahead and create in our American democracy. They ended up swaying people, and it was never an American that came up with all these divisive things. It was a foreign enemy that ended up creating these problems because they know that's what Americans end up caring about.
Yeah.
So they're the ones that are actually creating all these divides between us. And that's what's really scary, is that we're more or less falling for it.
Yeah, that we're more susceptible to believing these sort of misinformations, that we can end up shooting ourselves in the foot and lose the game there and there.
Big time. And cancel culture. I'm sorry, not only that, but the censorship going on right now on YouTube and across all these platforms too. They're censoring the fuck out of people just for their arbitrary reasons. It's scary as hell to me to think about.
And that they have to go to websites like 4chan or 8chan or Reddit and shit like that, so they can actually put those those arbitrary beliefs, and because they get so much censorship on these major platforms that they know that if they talk about it in this, that they'll be all right.
Yeah, that's what's wild to me, is that these whole you have to be careful what you say now, and that's, God, that's scary.
That freedom of speech is not freedom.
No, not on these channels.
Not. We lost that. I don't know when did we lost it, but we lost it because anything that you say can come back and bite you back in the ass. And I mean, I may be liable with some wild shit that I said here in my podcast. I stand by it. If I said it in a podcast and I was firm about it, I stand by it, and I'll defend myself about it. Obviously, I'm not gonna bother myself by the comment sentence like, "Oh, you're a piece of shit person." It's like, that's your opinion, but yeah, I know I'm not a piece of shit of a person because I know I am a good person, so I really, really do not engage with with the comment section. It's like, you're a piece of shit, and I'll talk about it in the podcast. It's like, oh, the other day somebody called me a piece of shit. I'm just like, all right, like, you don't know me, so but kudos for you.
I love those moments. In fact, when I was helping one of my boys, Anthony, who's the bar manager of a venue out here called Salvaje, shout out to both of them. The competition that we recorded for him and put him out there, we got a dick pic in the DMs, and he was like, "Bro, somebody sent the dick," and was like, "Fuck you on this shit." I was like, "Yo, hell yeah, we got a dick pic. That means we're making it, man. That means if somebody had that much time to fucking get so upset about this, send us some insult with a dick pic." I'm like, "Yo, we're crushing it. We got to keep going on this kind of stuff." I'm like, fuck what they think, dude. Fuck what they heard. Fuck all that, dude. Like, the hating. One thing that one of my roommates said to me years ago, and it's really stuck with me, is that, like, through his old side hustles and stuff, he's like, if he did something for me, like a favor, I'd be like, "Oh, thanks, bro. I appreciate it." And he'd be like, "Bro, a crackhead can thank me for this. Like, don't thank me. Do something." Like, this goes back to circling back to whole doing something. Words, fuck them. Do something to earn, like, either the ability to say something but just like telling me thank you, that don't mean shit. And that's why the comment guy, telling you something that don't mean shit. What do you actually do to earn the right to ever criticize or to compliment me? And that's why I don't even look at compliments or criticisms that much until I find out that they're from somebody that's actually credentialed.
Right. I'm with you on that, bro. I'm with you. But it's just careful what you say, because it's gonna offend somebody. But at the end of the day, if that's gonna be the mentality, then anything that you say will offend somebody, and it's already too late. At that point, you're like, well, whatever. I'm already in the hot water, so might as well enjoy the hot waters, right? Like, shit.
Baby, make it a jacuzzi.
Yeah, make a fucking jacuzzi out of it, because, like, what else can you do other than say, "Go fuck yourself, I hope you die"? It's like, okay.
Yes, strong words, but whatever.
Yeah, strong words, but is that ever gonna happen? Of fucking course not, No. But like, whole censorship and the fact that we're not allowed to say, anything at all in today's world, which is, it's wild, man. It's wild. And maybe some of it is for a good reason. I have to believe that at least some of this stuff is for a good reason. Like back then, we are not allowed to say the F word. That's derogatory for the gays.
Right.
I know that I've said it before, as a joke and shit. That was the whole point of the jokes back in the, I don't know, in the 90s, in the early 2000s. And now we say it and it's like, you're canceled. It's like, damn, bro. Like, damn. I can't even say the other word. The other day, my fiance, she, bless her soul, she was saying, I cursed at somebody out, and I say fucking R word, which is like, I'm not gonna say it here, but it's like, you know what the R word is for somebody, the other word for idiot, Yeah, I said it, and she's like, "Hey, baby, don't say that." I was like, What do you mean?" you're not just supposed to say that. And it's like, who the fuck is telling me I'm not supposed to say the R word? And it's like, don't say it because people will take that offenses. Are you fucking kidding me? You're telling me I can say Riri? Really? You're telling me I'm not allowed to say Riri anymore? The fuck? They're taking everything, bro. I can't say bitches anymore.
Oh, dude, don't get me started on that, dude. God damn, dude, don't get me started. Yeah, you can't. Why can't you? Because they see it all the time. What?
Bro, if I see a dude that's acting like a little bitch, I'm gonna call him he's a fucking little bitch. Why the fuck I can be saying a bitch? Am I saying a bitch to a woman? No, I'm saying it to the guy. Guy's acting like a bitch.
Yeah.
No, but that's offensive. That's offensive to women. Who got offended? Who the fuck got offended by it? I'm not even talking to that offended person. I'm talking to the fucking Riri here who's acting like a little bitch.
Totally, man. It's like, listen, girls. I've noticed something, and again, these are all theories that people put onto me, and I've been like, you know what, you're right.
Yeah.
Bitches. When you're referring to women, bitches, they love to be called bitches sometimes, but like not necessarily in private. Like in private, they like, to be a little bit more well spoken, but like in public, they kind of like it. Weirdly enough, get this turned on by this aggro guy or this alpha male.
Yeah,
they enjoy that weirdly enough, and that's where I feel like the song "She Don't Want to Be Saved, Don't Save Her." Not all these girls want to be. You don't be saved on them and that kind of thing. It's weird, dude. And
some of these women act like bitches, like real like hoes, like, and they want to be like that. But
and they'll name themselves, and they're not looking at it a bad way.
Yeah, basically, and then it shifts back into like, oh my god, you're misogynistic. It's like, why? Because I see a group of women, they're acting slutty, and they just call each other bitches, and then kissing other dudes for no goddamn reason, and just beer buttons. Like, I'm not allowed to say that. I'm not allowed. Oh, only women are allowed to say that, but I'm excluded. What the fuck? Like, this world, like, we're censoring shit. Freedom of speech, not freedom. Yeah, no, it doesn't mean. So when somebody ever tells me like, oh, it's my right, it's freedom of speech, it's like, no, bitch. Freedom of speech is not really freedom of speech, because anything you say has consequences.
Yes, I do.
So you better watch out, because somebody's gonna come to you and they're gonna cancel you.
Like the old Santa song, man. He sees when you're sleeping, knows when you're awake, man. People are gonna fucking find you.
Yeah, for real. Got 99 problems, baby. Bitch ain't one.
But saying Riri is.
But saying Riri is. Riri is the major problem. I can't say Riri. Why can't we cancel fucking JC now? He said it multiple times. I got 99 problems, but bitch ain't one. Why can't we cancel him? Oh no, he's a rapper. He was just singing. It's like, how many times have we heard fucking one of these rappers saying that?
Yeah.
Damn, girl. Oh, she's a sexy bitch. A sexy bitch. A sexy bitch. That Akon said it loud and clear. It was a song. And girls are be like, yeah, girl, you a sexy bitch. Yeah, girl, you're a sexy bitch. No, you're not allowed to say that. That's very disrespectful. That's rude.
They'll be singing it. And then you join in, yeah, you're a sexy bitch. And then they all stop and freeze and they turn around like, excuse you. Whoa.
My bad, yo. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to say, like, what am I allowed to say? Shit.
No, pretty soon the cows are going to get mad at you and they're going to tell you that you can't say shit.
Oh my God. That reminds me of a time that PETA pulled out some wild shit that I saw. PETA got offended by the cows. Some weird shit not too long ago. It's like, oh, you're not allowed to say cows or something about the cows because it's hurtful for them. I'm like, PETA, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, they're cows. The only thing that they say is moo.
Yeah. And in some places, eat more chicken. But, that's those Chick-fil-A cows. Maybe it was a Chick-fil-A cow that got offended.
I think that was another thing. Like you can't be putting the cows and in the chicken and as offensive and shit. Oh my god. Oh my god. I remember there was a billboard in New Jersey in which one side they say about please do not kill crabs or something like that. They're our friends and whatnot. And then the other side, it's the same image but a bit red. And the people are saying unless they're red and ready to cook, then you're okay to eat them. Come over to our restaurant. That was some baller move to do. All in that same billboard.
Impressive. Actually, now that I'm thinking about billboards, I don't know if you ever used to see, I keep referring back to Chick-fil-A. I love their hate chicken, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
The signs, at least in my hometown back in the day, they'd have like the cows as like little statues putting up the little billboards, and I'm surprised that we never had anything against like animal working abuse or something like that. Like, somebody getting mad that there was, cows putting up a billboard, like, oh, that's horrible for the animal. And it's like, nowadays I wouldn't put it past somebody to do something like that. Like,
I'm pretty sure somebody already put it out, and I'm pretty sure PETA were like in support of it. It's like, yeah, that's right, guys. And and then out of left field, someone to come over and say, "You're a fucking idiot."
I'm no longer shocked by what people are getting offended at these days. It's just always like, I guess. I mean, I knew somebody was going to get offended. Somebody somewhere was enough time in their basement just to get upset about that.
Just that, because today was that. 2 weeks later, everybody's going to forget about it. Like, are we still talking about the Dave Chappelle controversy?
Not in the same way.
What? When it happened, it happened. But then what's happening right now? Ain't nobody talking about it. Dave Chappelle's still doing his thing. He's on his way, on his tour. He still talks. It's just like,
what good did that all do?
What good? Yeah. What good did that all do? Honestly, absolutely nothing.
Not a damn thing. Added nothing to this world for benefit.
And Netflix supported Dave Chappelle.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God. Same with Spotify, supporting Rogan.
Yeah. Thank God. See, when I see these level corporates defending on the person, that's when I know it's like, all right, you guys are not that biased. You're not all the time like, yeah, we're always gonna be on the right side. Like, no, you guys are always gonna be on the side of logic and be like, okay, why are we canceling him? Okay, he didn't do anything wrong. We believe he didn't do wrong, and we stand by it. Kudos for you guys, because again, you guys are literally like the last strong of defense before the walls are breached, and then you can't say shit anymore. Because now everything's gonna be censored, everything's gonna be muted. You're gonna get easily demonetized, and you're just a CEO pleasing a low life person who has absolutely nothing else to do in their lives, all because he or she decided to like they hate this certain person, and you're gonna go ahead and listen to that certain person and cancel someone else's livelihood, all because that one person says that.
Yeah, that's also what blows my mind too, is that you want to go ahead and take away their livelihood. You want to go ahead and take away the money that goes into their families' mouths, like their kids' mouths. Like, people aren't thinking about that kind of thing. They're so offended personally that they're not thinking about the level of consequences that they could affect in somebody else's life. And then, really, you're this warrior for the good, except you did all of this bad to achieve that good.
Exactly.
Where do you draw the line with your morals and your principles, or do you even have any?
It's like the same thing. It's like, no, guys, you cannot beat the Batman in your story. Like, no way, because the Batman in the story uses his fucking brain and knows which battles he has to fight that he knows that that can be win. You can't win all battles, you know. You're eventually gonna either you lose some or you lose them all. And let me tell you, like 10 years ago, people really would not give a shit about this sort of stuff. Like studio execs, like corporates, platforms would not move an inch if something like this comes out in the public. Like, people will not be that big of a deal. Like, they would not cave in just to please the masses. It
Exactly.
would have never happened 10 years ago. Now it's like, okay, I'm okay for you guys because you guys are my viewership. But then again, maybe more than half of that mass are not even your viewership.
Right. Yes.
So how the hell are you really pleasing the masses when you're actually pleasing nobodies that don't even give a shit about your content?
Exactly.
So you basically shot yourself in the foot by adding a shotgun to it.
Yeah.
Ripping your whole damn leg off. It's just like, what? Hey, I'm going down. How did this shit happen? Well, I don't know, man. Pointing the gun at you, something happened.
Exactly. They shoot their own leg. They're shooting the only leg they have to stand on.
Yeah.
Your arguments, and then they're like, it's oh dude, it's wild to me though. I really hope that it's gonna make a swing back. And I think that's,
I hope so. Yeah. I hope so. Like, I'm hoping for the best in the future. Like, I hope that's some way, shape, or form. This could be just like another day of another episode of Black Mirror, and just like it's over. Like, we're done with it, bro. But the way how things are going, and now introducing this whole entire your metaverse.
Yeah. I did a Photoshop guy doing some stuff in the metaverse. They're working with clothing designers, and they're creating outfits for people to wear in the metaverse.
What the fuck?
Yeah, to meetings and stuff. So it's there's an entire generation that's just native to this whole online community, and that's the life that they know. It's weird.
It's a dangerous game. It's a very dangerous game, because that's where, when you feel like, that's when you only feel alive, when you're in this fantasy world. And many people can argue with me. It was like, well, what do you think playing video games is that? When you're playing World of Warcraft, you're playing Skyrim, or you're playing some of these, campaign games. It's like, well, that's very, very, very different, because first of all, you're playing a game that is a game.
Yes.
Let's just start with that. It's just a game. It's a made-up belief that you enjoy the characters and you're involved with it. And there's nothing wrong about that, And it has nothing to do with your livelihood. Like, it's just a chill time for you to do it, versus you getting yourself inside its own universe, like the metaverse. You're physically creating yourself in a certain avatar in a certain way, and then you're just doing wild shit in that whole universe.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything that you do there has no consequences for now, and you love it so much in there. You love it because you had so much freedom there that you're being restricted by your own reality, by your own real world. And by just jumping on that, you decided, like, I want to spend more time as possible in this world, because it's only in this world where I feel like I'm somebody. Yeah. And that's when you lose reality. That's when that's when fantasy intervenes into your own reality. And then once you're out of it, everything that you see will become a video game to you. It'll become its own thing, and then it's like another episode of Black Mirror, bro. It's one of these days somebody's gonna snap accidentally and it's gonna kill somebody, and they haven't realized, they haven't checked out. There's like, but I'm in the metaverse. Like, this is not real. It's like, no, this is real life. You just kill somebody for no reason because you believe it's. No, I locked myself out. I locked myself. It's like, too late.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that yet.
Yeah, bro, because like how many people are there that are lonely, that they hate their lives, that they hate their jobs, that they're miserable, and then the only thing that makes them feel special or popular or alive is when you go inside these social medias or when you go into these video games. So what do you think what's gonna happen when this metaverse hits to these guys? Their dopamine is gonna skyrocket to the moon, bro. It's going to become an addiction. In fact, it's going to be worse than addiction, because it's going to be a point in which you could be basically spend days all hooked up in that whole world, not realizing that you haven't drank anything, you haven't taken a shit, you're just soiling yourself. It's crazy. And I feel like that's a reality that's a ticking time bomb waiting to happen in this reality.
100%, man. It's interesting to think, because my buddy was showing me an article today about Musk's Neuralink, and it's going to allow people to have an orgasm on command.
Dude, that's another thing. The whole Neuralink. Again, we're circling back to fucking Black Mirror. How many episodes of Black Mirror have you seen in Netflix that involves with some sort of Neuralink that, you know, you basically you just plug yourself out of the world and you're like zoomed out.
That's predicting too much of the future to be.
And it's a very scary thing to think about, but look what's happening. Now that you say it about orgasms, like, do you realize how many times there are gonna be so many sexual harassment cases? All because I was minding my own business and I decided to give myself an orgasm, and I was surrounded by people. And people were just like offended by it. It's like, oh, it's because of me. I was like, nah, I was thinking about something. No, but you give your orgasm in public. That's in disclosure. Some weird law that you know
indecent exposure.
Thank you very much. That's what it is. Dude, orgasms. I can do my own orgasms by yourself. That's when the human species dies, because then if I got myself an orgasm, why do I need a woman?
Yeah, or why does a woman need a man?
Why does a woman need a man? I don't need a man. I can just have my own orgasm. What? Me pregnant? That's why we need it out. I could just get, sperm donors and whatnot.
Yeah, we're getting rid of our own nest, and we're getting rid of the need for us bitches.
Bro, it's gonna get to the point that men and women are gonna start having sex with robots.
Yeah, dude, they're already. I mean, I saw a little thing in Japan where this guy had on this haptic feedback suit, little VR goggles, and this little blow up torso, and it was like a little fuck game basically, and he was just like slamming it into himself. He was just doing it like doggy essentially, and on the computer it showed like him fucking this chick in digital world, but it was like, what?
Dude, and Japan is technology advanced, like whatever Japan has, we're gonna have it like 2 or 3 years later here.
Just a bunch of dudes, just fucking little blow up torsos, dude. Just think of like a room of just a bunch of people just with VR goggles on, just humping plastic.
Holy shit. Seriously, I'm hoping for the best for this future, but like it's hard for me to be optimistic when I see all these signs and I see all these shit happening. It's like, dude, this is just a time bomb waiting to happen. And circling back to what we said earlier about misinformation, about finding out that we didn't create some of this stuff. This was all orchestrated by other foreign countries. And that's how we're going to lose our own war by, killing ourselves. And then foreign countries are just going to step in and intervene and just like, hey, you can't do that. So we're just going to be regulating for you guys since you guys fail as a society. Dude, that's a scary thought. A scary thought that we fail as a society and other countries have to intervene and colonize themselves in there. So that way there could be peace again. But then now we're going to be in a new sovereign. It's a scary thought, but it's the same thing with technology. Like it's this whole misinformation and we're not even realizing that we're killing ourselves little by little.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting rid of the necessity for our own human existence.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It's scary thought, man. And future is looking grim, man.
That's why we gotta brighten it.
That's why we came here and start brightening shit, man. We gotta do something about it to make a difference and change it and just like not become one of these mindless zombies and just
we gotta fight it. That's what I try to do every day, man. Just fight it just by being and just by showing other people, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. We can do it honestly, we can do it the right way.
Yeah. I'm with you with that, bro. I'm with you. I don't know. Like, There's a lot. There's a few things that I actually want to talk to you about before we wrap this up, man. One of the things I actually very intrigued because you actually mentioned it to me about the marketing aspect. You know, when it comes to these social medias, I am not a big fan of social media at all. Like, I wish I can pay somebody to run my accounts and do all the daily posts from my podcasts.
Right.
Because to me, becoming my one man army to do all that stuff is heavy for me. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of brain power that I have to do and a lot of hours that I gotta cut it just to make it right. Like after I'm done editing this episode and then doing all the other shit, it's just yeah, like people don't realize the process that I have to go when it comes to doing podcasting, when it comes to doing it, especially when you're a one man army. Like, first of all, like once I finish this episode, I had to bounce this episode to my other computer. In that computer, I open up my Ableton and then I start editing, mix, master, and adding sound effects just to spice things up, you know. And I have to do that all on the fly, you know. And I had to
Right.
recognize the child, and that's like before it was like 3 hour job. Now it's like less than 30 minutes. You know, it's just easy, quick, and I can just do this quickly and bang it. And then once that is done, I have to bounce it. Like, and bouncing it takes space and it takes like, I don't know, another 30 to an hour for it to finish exporting it. And once it's exported, I gotta put it back into the other computer. That's where I slap it into the Premiere and doing whatever the final touches on Premiere. And then that's like 2 hours of exporting an entire hour or 2 hour interview. And once that's exported, I have to upload it into YouTube. And that's another hour because depending on the bandwidth that I have, that's another hour for it to finish uploading. And then I gotta put all the thumbnails. I gotta go Photoshop, do the thumbnail, upload it, do the description of the episode, explain, follow the social media, follow this person. Once it's done, schedule it. And then I have to download the audio version so I can actually put it on Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts. That's a whole task.
That's the thing that people get paid to do. That's like every job role that goes into that. You have a cameraman, you have an audio guy, you have a light, you have a computer, you have a video guy, you have all these things that you're doing by yourself.
Yeah. So what I'm good at on these certain things, I'm bad at social media. And my marketing is not as good as it was back then. But like people don't understand, guys. Like marketing an artist or a song is much more easier than marketing a podcast because not many people are into it, and a lot of people are into music. Like you're gonna have 20,000 people listening to your song. You can have like a fracture of that probably will listen to your podcast. Probably a fracture of those 20,000 people. So the dynamics is different. It's insane, you know? So like, what advice would you give me that, you know, that I can actually work on my marketing schemes, you know, for my podcast besides making clips on these social medias, you know?
The biggest thing that I can tell people is that engagement is key. And value needs to come from the clips and then engagement ahead of time. So a lot of people don't reach out and physically type in comments on photos they just will type like 3 whatever emoji, and the algorithm is now not really giving that credit as much as actually typed out sentences. So what I have known to be true in the past is that engaging with your followers or new followers specifically a couple hours before a post goes up, you go ahead and you find people in the niche that you're targeting using hashtags and hashtag discovery, podcasts, you know, music podcasts, those kind of things, seeing what's on there, and then commenting on some of their recent pictures and then hitting them with a follow. What that ends up doing is that ends up kind of notifying them. And then within those few hours, chances are they're going to check it. They're going to hit the follow back if they see that there's actually good content and good value with what you're doing. And they're going to be notified sooner than a lot of people about the post that's going up next. So if within those few hours you engage with 10, 15 people by commenting, whenever your post goes live in those next 2 hours, they're going to see it quicker. You're going to get a good amount of likes on that, probably more so than you would if you just posted it out of the blue.
Right.
Engagement and showing the algorithm and showing the platform that you're using it ahead of time before you post it, it generally gets a little bit more engagement in the long run too. But also just the value aspect, just making sure that what you're putting out there to show people in that small bit of digestible content gives them some sort of value through their day. You know, what do you think is going to be useful about XYZ clip? And then that's usually what will drive the organic engagement and the organic following.
Well, the cool thing about it is like I'm always on top of this organic following. Like I always search for people to come over, and there's always that growth with it. And I interact with people as much as to my ability, you know, and I always let them know it's like, hey, you know, any other topics you want me to cover, please let me know. You know, I'll try my best to cover on the next episode, you know.
Right.
And you're right. And I'm always gonna be going for that organic growth, you know, just interacting with people because it's like the best way to do it. And I've seen it before when I release my music, just talking over, commenting on other people's stuff, and you know, I can see that energy coming back again, you know.
Always, and it builds. It takes 10 years to become an overnight success.
Yeah,
that's the average. So, you know, now look at Rogan again, circling back to him 12 years later, and his podcast has blown up.
It's like, yeah,
wasn't there.
Yeah. So at least I know, like, I'm actually them doing like I was afraid of, like, I don't know if I was doing the right way of doing this or not, and you telling me that it's just confirming me, like, yeah, I'm in the right path. I just have to keep it going. Just everything's gonna work out.
Consistency. That's all you have to. It's literally, I've helped dozens of people start podcasts, but I told them, I said, you got to be ready to like do this for a long time, and it cannot be for the money. You got to have something.
Yeah.
Podcast, and if you don't, you're not going to do it. There's not going to be a reason. So you doing this because it's bigger than yourself, because you want to give other people that kind of opportunity to learn about from what people are doing, how they can also do it. That's going to carry you further and faster than anything else would.
I mean, that's my wedge, man. That's my carrot, man. Like, I love helping people. I love, you know, guiding them. And me doing this for free, for me, is like whatever. Like, whether I earn money or not, it does not affect my livelihood at all. I just doing it because I want to. I love doing it, and it fulfills me. It fulfills me to talk to people like you in my show, and you know, talk about all sort of stuff. You know, it's just it's engaging for me, and I always learn something new. I always will learn something new, and I appreciate that knowledge power over anything else, man. And I hope that when people listen to these episodes, they can also learn something out of it, or take something out of it, you know.
Yeah. See, that's all that I try to do with my content too, man. Is just make sure that there's been something I said that somebody else can go ahead and relate to and use as a tool, just like I've been given in this life.
Why is it that you actually chose the name for Karbanation for your own?
Carbon is Karban is actually my last name. And so one day I was really stoned and I was watching Colbert Report. And back in the day, he had this like Colbert Nation. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I created Karbanation. And at the time, I wasn't really sure what that was going to be. And then when I, over the last few years, have been developing kind of like the foundation for the content that I create, Carbon is, I was adopted when I was 4 days old. And so, you know, I didn't have to have the great life that I did growing up, but I did. I had one of the most dope childhoods anybody could have. And I learned a lot from my parents, who taught me really all the kindnesses and all the like manners and things and how to treat people. And I want that to be the legacy of what I create. And so just in the future, I would love to have just this network of people that I've somehow helped to believe in themselves to where they're empowered and they're out there doing things that make themselves happy. And I want that kind of collective to be, remembered of who I learned that from. If they learned it from me, remember, I didn't create it, it was taught to me. I taught them. So Karbanation is an all-encompassing kind of hope that like I'll have this community of people that are out there doing the same thing that I've done. And so, it's what I put behind everything. And then my logo is it's just a T and an X. It's a red T and an X. And it's just overlapping each other. And I take the E out when I spell it like that, just to remind myself to take my ego out of the work that I create for people, because it's not about me. It's never about me. It's about how I can go ahead and help somebody else. And through doing that, I am helped 10 times. A lot of people are like, oh, thank you so much for doing this. And I'm like, listen, as much as this is helping you, it's given me a lot more. You just won't see it, but I am given 10 times the amount of energy that I ever put out. And it's because I just try to do right by people and just let people know that we're all the same. I'm not better than anybody better than me. They've just spent more time doing something.
What's your normal schedule? Like, walk me through the process of what do you do on a daily basis? Like, do you have like a rigid schedule, or is like wild card every day?
I'm a bar back and bartender at a really busy bar in Miami, and I've been there probably about the same amount of time that I've been doing my journey. What has been the case last year, I spread myself too thin in trying to do all these different creative projects with people, and I kind of let the team that's had my back not dwindle without me. Like I haven't put the focus in at the bar that I work at. So I was doing too many all-nighters, just trying to do all these projects, all these photo shoots, video shoots with people, and I was like spreading myself too thin, unhealthy as fuck. And so at the end of last year, my boss and my friends, they all within the same week had the same kind of conversation with me about like really just kind of managing my time better. So my days nowadays, I get up in the afternoon and go to work anywhere from 2:00 in the afternoon to 11 o'clock at night. And sometimes I'm at work until 7 a.m. because the bar that I work at is open 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. Nowadays, I just work a lot over there. And then I do the paid video shoots and photo shoots, which if it's photos, I can go to the event, shoot for an hour or two, and then spend another 2 hours editing and touching up. Whereas video, I shoot for an hour, I'm looking at like a 5 to 6 hour editing process, which takes forever because then that cuts into your sleep. That's the one place where I feel like I take from. It's like, well, I got some extra time for sleep. Nope, not going to use that today for sleep. We're going to do that to earn. So it's all random. It's all random, but it's just a lot.
Has it ever affected you mentally? Have you ever had those mental exhaustions when you're overdoing like that?
Yes and no. There'll be times where like if I have like yesterday, I slept all day. The whole week was so long that I had the day, and I meant to go out to a couple events that I was supposed to go to just to show up, and I just didn't even make those. It was because there'll be days where I'm just like put my phone off, put it right next to me, and then you won't hear from me for 24 hours just because I got to recoup.
Right.
But I don't know. When I do something, I do it intense. So if it's sleeping, I'll sleep intense. If it's working, I'll do it intense. Drinking, whatever. I go ball to the wall.
And so that's what you do when you're trying to recharge mentally. When you get those mental exhaustions, you just like recharge completely on that one day, and it's just like, all right, I can handle the next of the week now.
Yeah. Because that's what you gotta do, man. There's people need their stuff. People need their pictures. People need their videos. And so, unfortunately, a lot of times I can just say my health will go to the side for a second because I got to get this done.
Yeah.
In order to make this happen, in order to get to that next level. And maybe I can take a break at that next level, but like shit's got to get done. I'm going to be the one to do it.
I agree. What has been your greatest accomplishment up to now?
Something personal has probably just been my parents being out here for the first time in 8 years last year.
That's
they came
dope.
out. Yeah, dude, it was raw, dude. Basically, I mean, I came out here for rehab 8 years ago from Oxycontin. And so like a decade of my life, I was that fuck up in the family. And so for 8 years, my parents had always been wondering, like, oh, he's, not getting into trouble like he used to, but he's also, I'd gone homeless because I wouldn't ask for help. Like, as much as, you can ask for help in certain circumstances. I had done a lot of things that didn't make sense to them in the chasing of my dream. And for them to get to come out after not having really seen me and what I've done for 8 years, telling me they were proud of me based on the relationships that I had introduced them to in the city that I'm working in, that was probably one of the biggest accomplishments. Just because you work hard for your parents' approval and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they're both college educated. My great-great-granddad was the first president of Baylor. So everybody in my family, except for me, graduated from Baylor University.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it was just like, you be able to put up something to equate to that whole sense of accomplishment in a traditional sense.
Yeah.
Now they see what I'm doing is going to take me.
That's dope to hear, and I sympathize you, for that, because like it's hard for our parents to see what we're trying to accomplish, and unless they can never understand it until we show them our actions, until we show them our results. And that's how every parent is. Every parent wants to make sure that at least that you're okay, that you're not chasing a wild goose chase, and that you're not doing wrong, and that at least like you're doing something that you're passionate about, and that you see that there's like results by it. But obviously every parent will always want that security that makes sure that you're already taken care of. Like they don't want to be every night wondering whether you're gonna make it or not, because that's the life of every parent, when their child tells them this, like, hey, I don't want to be on college, I just want to be a music producer. And oh my God, you have no idea those conversations with my parents is just like, wow, they're wild. But I had to, if I had to prove, then I did have to graduate from college, even though I did not want it, and I did not literally learn much in the educational sense. Like some of the stuff I just like completely forgot about it. Like I don't even know how I even passed it. I'll be honest, that was like complete fucking waste of time and money. Like I would have like literally rather used that money for the school, for the audio school that I went here in Miami. I would have told them, it's like, give me that money for this school. I will make something out of it. And because I proved that, it's like, you know what? You know how hungry I am that I want this so badly, that I'm gonna prove you guys wrong, that I'm not gonna learn anything, and yet I'm gonna graduate from here. I graduated. I have something. I could give free flying thoughts about it. Now I want to go to audio school. Let me show you about audio school. I did it, and look where I am right now. I'm a senior audiovisual technician at the University of Miami. Make a good living. I've worked for Live Sound, worked for the Clevelander for many years. I've did Ultra, I did Life in Color, I did plenty of festivals. I tour around Florida. I make music for I make music for these labels. Labels release my music, like I showed them, like, look at my process, look at everything I've done up to now, all because I went to the school that I wanted, all because I want to decide to do this, because they did not believe that was gonna make it. They did not believe, and that was heartbreaking to hear that, because they feel like this is something that it's a 1 in 100 chance that someone will make it. They did not believe that I was gonna make it, and they were until I showed them my results, and it's just like, see, I'm not moving back to PR. Like this is my home. Like Miami is my home, and that's where I am. I mean, my career started here, and that's something that I told them very clearly when I say, like, when I'm moving to Miami, my career is gonna start from there, and it did.
Yeah, exactly the same thing. I wanted to make a name where my name meant nothing yet.
Yeah.
And in my hometown of Waco, my name meant too much. So I came out here and I'm like, let me just go ahead and earn it myself.
Yeah. My way. Without anyone's help. I decided to do this my way. Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, he said it right, man. And that's the thing, is that once we do it our way, nobody can take that from us.
Exactly.
That's the best part about it to me, is that I've done these things and I've earned it. And it really does add a little bit of confidence to who you are, because there's a great saying that I once heard, is that who are you without the invention of anybody else? And, something I think about a lot. It's like, without all this stuff around, who am I? And I do know that it's a helpful person. And it's finally nice to see the results from doing that and be able to show them the people that have been the most concerned. Yeah. And then be like, you know what? You had it right. We're going to let you do you.
But I'm glad that, our parents are now finally seeing, like, holy shit, like, yeah, they're doing it. You're doing it. It's like, see, you just have to put a little faith in us, and it's going to work out.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank God they were always there still. Thank God they're there to support, even despite the way they might have originally felt.
Yeah. That's good, man. That's good. So right now, what are you currently doing, and what do you hope to accomplish by it?
Right now, I'm focusing on the bar. I'm focusing on working on content for Better Days, and really just kind of leveling us up in the home bar, and just making sure that we are a lasting staple in the city. The bar that I work at originally started as a pop-up. I was only supposed to be there 30 days, and we're 7 years later now. And there is so much of a story to the bar that I want to show the world in the right way. We actually just got pitched a couple weeks ago to be on a reality show.
No way.
Yeah, dude. I don't know if you've heard of Vanderpump, but their producers, it's some sort of reality show that's been around for like 8 seasons or something.
Where, in TLC or MTV?
Maybe MTV. It's Vanderpump Rules. Maybe Bravo. Actually, now that I think about it,
Bravo or E.
Yeah, one of those two, the little chick channels.
Yeah.
They're producers from LA that came by, and they were just like, we're just kind of scouting the area, and somebody had told them about us or something, or maybe they had come by and had a drink. I'm not sure, but the fact is that the bar is causing enough of a buzz that people are interested in shooting there. And so these feelings that I've had for a long time, that this place is very monumental in the city, and per square foot we actually make some of the most money in the city, because we're a small bar, but we do tremendous numbers and with a small team, and it's because we're an industry bar. So we cater to the people in hospitality. My goal is to go ahead and make sure that the way that we're remembered is in the best light for all the great things that we did for the city. So this year is about focusing on them and about what we're doing. However that gets portrayed in the future, it's just I'd like to be the one helping to tell that story.
That's actually pretty dope. That's pretty dope. I can't wait for what's to come, man.
It's going to be a big and bright year. I tell you what, a lot of merch ideas that we're putting out to play.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me know so I can purchase some of those, man. Absolutely. Would like to support you guys.
Appreciate it, brother.
Of course, man. One last question and we can wrap this up, man. Let's just say that you're walking down the street and then all of a sudden a UFO comes out of nowhere and pops out, and they come to you and says like, yo, Tets, we need your help. And he's like, and you're like, oh, okay. It's like, yeah, but just, we need your help right now, and you have to come with us right now in our ship. But just so you know, you're going to be out for quite some time. You don't know when you're coming back. So here's a piece of paper. Write 3 pieces of advice that you give to someone. What are those 3 pieces of advice?
3. Wow, this is a good question. I like this. First piece of advice is something I wrote a few years ago. It's just be the person now that you can brag to your kids about later. That's something very like live in the now. Just be the person now that you can brag to your kids about later. Whether or not you have kids, doesn't matter. Second thing would be about learn to trust your intuition over everything. Your intuition, learn to just to connect with yourself and to follow your intuition. And third thing is just do everything with love. Do every single thing with love.
That's pretty dope. I like those free pieces of advice, man. I do. It's a question that I give to somebody at the end of the show, and it's surprising that everybody has a different answer, and I like that. There's no wrong answers. It's just I like the answers that I always hear it because there are times and there's answers that are like who are like with others' answers, and it's like though at least we know that we're all in the same page with this, man. We're just trying to be building a better future for not just ourselves, but for our future selves in the future.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's for me. It's about the legacy, and I think a legacy is like carved out. I don't think it's like forced anything. I think a legacy is a lifetime of small, random acts of kindness that we do for each other. And it's not just one grandiose gesture. It's just about a lifetime of just random acts of kindness.
Dope, brother. Thank you very much for coming over to the show, man. We had a nice conversation, you and me, man. We basically talked literally about everything.
We did. We covered the spectrum today, boy.
Yeah, for real. You're a friend of the show, man. So if you anytime you want to come back and get to the show and talk about more other shit, man, hey, I'm more than happy for you to come over.
Yeah, dude. Hell yeah, this was fun, dude. This is an achievement in my book. This is something I'll always cherish and remember. I really appreciate you for even having me on, dude. It means a lot.
I'm happy to hear that, man. Thank you. Before we leave, plug yourself out. Let the people know where they can follow you or they can find you and what they can expect for you in the future.
For sure, man. For sure. I have a lot of my like long form kind of discussions, just my talking on YouTube at Karbanation, KARBANNATION, and then Instagram on Karbanation. The bar that I work at is at Better Days 305, so you can see a lot of my content there. But on my Instagram, I just try to provide a lot of like value. Essentially, it's a lot of story posts, and then on the feed, you'll just see a lot of people that have really transformed my life just by the way that they act in theirs. And so I never try to put useless stuff out there. You'll always be able to find some value or something on my IG.
That's dope, man. That's dope. Well, thank you so much, Teds, for coming over to the show, man. Thank you guys for listening. And remember, every week is a brand new episode with a brand new topic. So always remember to like and subscribe for your weekly episodes at youtube.com/The Lone Wolv Podcast. As well, you can follow it on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. And guys, comment down below and let me hear your thoughts. Share your experiences, guys. If you guys got a specific topic that you want me and Teds to cover, please let us know in the comments down below, and we'll do our best to talk about it on the next episode. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys at the next one. Deuces.